I'm just gonna start over, Dad. Okay. Hey, I'm sorry we had some audio problems, but so I don't think anybody heard what I said from the beginning. But I was trying to honor my sister-in-law that passed, that is an organ donor, and I guess that yeah, there's Melissa. She helped us with the Mamu show, um, but she's donating her organs and whatever they can get. But I do just say some prayers for her. Thank you. But now. Welcome to the show, Wendy. Again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
I'm sorry for the little mess up.
No problem.
But anyways, the reason you have gotten 3 organ transplants, and you were telling us before we got shut off, tell us your story. Tell us how that all happened, and
okay,
let's start over.
So I was living a normal childhood, sickly, but not, I was catching lots of viruses. I was always sick with an ear infection, a sore throat, strep throat, the flu, kind of throughout my childhood and into high school. And we never really knew why I was getting all these infections. But fast forward to my senior year, I'm about to graduate high school and go on to college and live my life. And I started having stomach issues. And we noticed that the doctor, we had finally gone to see a gastroenterologist, and they did blood work, and my liver enzymes were very elevated. So they decided to do a liver biopsy. And I had a liver biopsy, and the results came back that I had a very rare, very progressive autoimmune liver disorder called primary sclerosing cholangitis. Basically, it's a narrowing of the bile ducts that gets clogged up by scar tissue.
Oh,
And it's a progressive disease. It doesn't get better. There is no cure. The cure for it is a liver transplant.
Wow.
So with that, the doctors had said one day I would need a liver transplant, and we did not know how fast or rapidly it would progress. So with that, I went on to college in Georgia, had my first year in college. Everything was fine, but I spent my summer with one of my college friends in St. Simon's Island in Georgia as this is crazy, athletic director of a day camp, which is funny because I am not athletic. Don't know how I got that job, but it was
I know. That's funny.
It's really funny because I don't have an athletic bone in my body.
Well, you're a dancer.
But I'm not athletic.
No.
So anyway, I'm there and I'm helping the kids, and I noticed that my skin is just constantly itching. I developed something called pruritus, which is when your bile backs up in your liver, and it makes you itch like there's no other itch, but you can't scratch this itch. It was all over my body, and my roommate said, "Wendy, why are your eyeballs, whites of your eyes, yellow?" And I almost, self doesn't see self. Like I didn't see it in the mirror. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I went to a hospital in St. Simon's Island and had blood work, and my liver enzymes were through the roof. So I immediately, the doctor there called my parents, and they're like, your daughter's here in the emergency room. Her liver enzymes are through the roof. Y'all need to get here quick. So meanwhile, my parents were calling my doctors in Baton Rouge, and they were telling my parents, get to St. Simon's in Georgia and fly Wendy straight to Duke University Medical Center to see this specialist. So my parents came and got me, brought me there. I ended up having a very major surgery, not a transplant, but it was called a choledochoduodenostomy. Basically, they went in and made my common bile duct bigger than it needed to be so all the bile could excrete through my liver.
Gosh.
So that particular surgery held me for 20 years plus until I needed a life-saving liver transplant.
Wow. I mean, those are some big words, too. I don't even know if I can say that. I never, and I've known you.
Yes.
And I didn't, off and on, especially when we were younger.
Yeah.
But, I didn't know it was all that. So when did you have to get the transplant? When did you start figuring that out, like your parents and you start figuring that out? I know. So you were married,
yeah,
right?
I got married
Okay.
in 1994. And, I am divorced now, but my husband at the time, we had seen doctors and we'd gotten married, and the doctors let us know, Wendy will probably never be able to have children because of this progressive liver disease. We don't know if being pregnant and the hormones are going to send her into failure. We don't, there was no way of knowing.
Yeah.
And I was very healthy from the time we got married, with procedures along the way, for a few years. they would have to, do procedures and like ERCPs go down my throat and stent my bile ducts because the bile would get, clogged up by scar tissue, and I would get the jaundice and itchy, and I would have issues where I would vomit blood, and I would have to
Oh
I
my
had
gosh.
esophageal varices, and there was a lot of procedures that went into this. Finally, in around 1997, 1998, about almost 5 years into marriage, I was kind of steady and doing well with everything. And we asked the doctors one more time, is there any chance I'd ever be able to have a child? And they met and they were like, right now your numbers are really good. I say, if you're going to try. Now, again, we didn't know.
Yeah.
If this was, I was going to carry to term, we didn't know anything. And it wasn't transplant now, is then it was not what it is now. It was not as advanced as it is now.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
just too many unknowns.
Mhm.
So next thing I know, I mean, I am pregnant. I am at the doctor's office. I'm like freaking out, like I am pregnant. This has happened, and this sounds awful, but I always said if I have one child, I want one boy. I did not want the drama of a girl. Too much for me. I'm a boy mom.
Yes.
Again, I don't play athletics, but my son doesn't either. So can you hear?
I can't hear Dad.
I don't think they can hear.
Oh, it's going out now. It is.
I'm sorry, guys. We're having technical difficulty.
No, it's
Who said that?
There's no.
Can
Can y'all hear us? Can y'all comment?
anybody comment on here that they can't? I guess they can't.
maybe they're on the wrong stream.
Are we
Okay.
good?
It's going out, and
Okay.
I see the audio over here.
Okay.
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 Just want to make sure.
Want to make sure that that's right. Text
I have
text Troy.
Just making sure.
Yeah, just
I'm
making
going to
sure.
check my phone to see if anybody's
Yeah,
saying.
I'm
it to me.
sorry, guys.
two people just said they can hear.
Okay,
so-
they can hear.
so
They-
it's
people
loud.
are saying they can hear.
Okay, we're
Okay.
back on. We're
We're
back
back
on. We're
on.
up
I'm
and running.
sorry. We were
Okay.
having I'm
No problem.
So,
No,
so
it's okay.
sorry.
This happens. This is life.
This is live.
This is life.
I
But
know.
this is life.
No, this is live. This
It's
is
live and it's life. So
Okay.
anyway, so I was able to get pregnant. I had my son.
Thank you,
I said I
Jesus.
want one child, one girl, one
One
child,
boy.
one
Yeah.
boy. I had that. And I never thought I'd see that. And we had an ultrasound, and my first phone call was to my dad, who was not at the hospital. And I said, Dad, because I wanted to be the teller, because we didn't have any boys in our family. And
I
my
know,
dad's
yeah.
like a sportsman, a duck
Yeah.
hunter. And I said, my first call, I said, Dad, and he was like, what? I said, do you have an extra bed at the duck camp? We're having a boy. And
Was
he was
he
like,
like-
I think he dropped the phone. He was like, what? So that was pretty exciting. So I called Luke
Yes.
my miracle child. So that was in 1998. We had Luke. Several years go on, and I'm fine. I'm in and out of the hospital with procedures, but I'm still doing okay. But finally, in 2007, I started declining. My liver numbers were elevated. I was, talking about throwing up blood and jaundice, having lots of procedures, lots of stents in my bile ducts. And the doctor said, it's time for you to be put on the liver transplant waiting list.
Oh wow.
And that was at Ochsner in New Orleans. And here's the deal with transplant and organ donation.
Yeah.
You have to be sick enough to be on the list, but not too sick to receive a transplant, because you don't know when you're getting that call. They put you on that list, and you don't know if you're they tell you, we could call you in 6 days and have a perfect match for you. We could call you in 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years.
Oh wow.
So you don't know. So they said always have your phone on, which I always did, be available. And then, so finally, I had several close calls where they called me and said, come down to Ochsner, we have a liver. And I went with my dad, and we sat in the waiting room for like 11 hours. There was someone else going into surgery that was ahead of me, and they needed a backup in case something had happened to that recipient. Maybe their blood pressure was
Really?
too high, or they had a virus or fever and they couldn't be transplanted. They have to have somebody else waiting. Well, after 11 hours, the nurse called my phone and said, you're not getting a transplant.
Oh my
you need to go
gosh,
home.
Wendy.
So it was a silent ride home, got home. Then I waited almost 2 full years. And then finally in 2009, at 10 o'clock at night, I got a phone call. It was Ochsner, and they said, we have a liver for you. You're number one in Louisiana, and you're number one in Ochsner, and we have a liver. get some rest. This was the odd part. Get some rest. We'll call you in a few hours. And I'm like,
Who can rest?
what? What is rest? So I had packed my suitcase 2 years prior, just getting ready because 6 days, 6 weeks, you didn't know.
Yeah.
But I had lost so much weight. I'd lost, like 40 something pounds during that time. So all the stuff that I had packed in 2007 were too big for me in 2009. So I'm scrambling. And as we're packing up, my in-laws were coming over to stay with Luke, who was asleep. And Luke was only like 8 at the time. But we're walking out the door. And I'll never forget Luke waking up and coming into the kitchen, and he was yawning and stretching, and he's in his little jammies. What's all the fuss? What's going on? And he always knew everything. He had to grow up at a very young age.
I can't imagine.
He was like, Luke, when he was 10, he was 50. And I said, Luke, Mom got the call, and I'm getting a liver transplant tonight. And I just remember him pausing and looked at me straight in the eye and said, Mom, am I ever going to see you again? Because he knew the risks. He knew all the risks. And of course, I had to go into super mom mode and say, of course you're going to see me again. I'm going to get a new and improved liver. We're going to get to go do all the fun things that we've never been able to do.
Yeah.
I had to assure him that I was going to be fine.
Of course.
And this was all based on one word I tied a donation was hope.
Hope.
I had to have hope for me and for him. And I had to believe in God. I had to believe into the transplant surgeons. I had to believe that the right donor was going to be there, for me, and it all has to, it's all a puzzle that you have to put together quickly. And with that, we rushed off to Oxford, and I did have a successful liver transplant. I was in the hospital with several different infections during that time, couple of months. In the hospital recovering. Then I was able to come home and be with my son and be with my family.
Wow.
So that was amazing.
No, that is
to get that life, that gift of life.
100%.
Now I did, after my transplant, about a year afterwards, I reached out to LOPA because I wanted to write a letter to my donor's family. And how do you write that kind of a letter? It's, dear donor family, you're not given any names. You don't know where they're from.
Yeah.
And thank them for this gift of life. Meanwhile, they lost somebody that they loved, but I'm alive today. So there's a couple things that happen with recipients. Grateful, blessed, but survivor's guilt. So you have to go through all these emotions, and they're all very different. There's highs and there's lows, but you've got to go through them all. And I've gone through the survivor's guilt. And I had people at LOPA telling me this person was going to die with or without, maybe it was their time, whatever happened. But I had to get over my survivor's guilt so I could write the letter to my donor's family. I did write the letter, and they received it, and they called LOPA and said they wanted to talk to me. And I got a phone call from LOPA saying,
that gives me chills.
So my donor's name was Christian.
Oh,
I think there might be a picture of Christian.
Oh.
There's Christian. He's my donor hero. Without him, I wouldn't be alive today. I wrote a letter, and his mom, his name is Tony, and she is precious. She's a nurse in Pineville, and she called me. I had so many questions, and I'm like, are they appropriate to even ask? And she's like, you can ask me anything you want. I asked her so many crazy questions. What was his favorite color? What was his favorite? I started craving sour candy.
Really?
After the trade. Not that I didn't always like it, but it was like I needed sour Skittles and sour taffy. And I asked her, and she goes, he loved sour candy, Sour Patch Kids. And I'm like, this is weird. This is just weird. And his favorite color was purple. Well, my favorite color's always been purple, mainly because Donny Osmond wore purple socks. That's, I'm not gonna lie, this is the truth. But anyway,
back in the day, yes.
So I kept up a relationship. I went to go meet her in Lafayette, and Lori Steele with LOPA came with me, and I brought her purple roses, and had lunch with her.
That's so
nice.
And
got to know her and got to know a lot more about Christian.
And that's, I'm gonna be honest with you. I would want that. like if I like for something happened, you want to know.
And
I think it's cool to know because you're given such a gift, and like at your last moment when you die, you're given a gift of life. So you cannot. That's like, I mean, I'm Catholic, so I'm thinking, well, I'm getting more points for heaven. Yeah.
Like, talk up another point.
So I'm donating all my organs, so maybe he can cross out some
Thank
of
God
the
are
other.
you listening?
No, but you know what I'm saying. But that
Yeah.
is no, really, it is a gift because if I like, why do I need them? And I know I told you earlier until I heard about you, and we're going to bring Stormy on in a second. Until I like, and maybe I should bring you on now so we can talk. Wait, I want
Because we're going to go into the second time when
the
she
second
got
time,
another phone
when
call.
she got another phone call,
And
but
we'll have to explain who Stormy is, like,
Yeah,
in this whole picture.
So Stormy is like our best friend.
Both of our best
friends. She lived next door to me. They danced together. And they were the big girls.
Wait, what do you mean?
Y'all were
Big girls.
No,
Because we're older. Because we're older.
So
we
y'all-
were the big girls.
okay, so they-
back then that
more
was
mature.
okay to be the big girls.
Okay.
Oh, and Stormy let me know that she was the big girl.
She was in charge. Yes.
She ruled my
And,
life.
Like,
but anyway,
if I was hanging out with Stormy, then you were hanging out with
and
Stormy.
and then when you were coming over, I knew you were going, so I was like totally like
And then
making my way
well,
over.
then you sneak into
Oh,
the
yeah.
window.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we're not talking about that.
During the day, just during the day.
But
Just during the day.
anyways-
we all go way back.
I know we go way back.
Many
so
years.
and it's all good stuff. But anyway,
Yes.
Stormy, I remember she called me and said, "You need to start praying for Wendy. She's I think you had like 72 hours to live."
That was my
the second.
second
was your
transplant.
second.
Yeah.
So, and I
Your second
remember and
transplant.
I don't remember. I know you told me about the first one, but I just remember whenever I was told those things, I was like, "Why am I not an organ?" And I changed it, changed it immediately. And then I didn't just change it immediately. I told other people because I was like, "You're such a like you were always a vibrant." Singing, you were coming over to play. We were gonna have fun.
Sing, dance, put
We
on
were gonna
shows,
have,
entertain
we were gonna have a
families,
dance party. We were
Oh,
gonna.
yeah.
It was gonna be fun.
swimming parties,
You
whatever.
were
Whatever.
and you were so full of life, and it was like, how in the world would she need this? Like, why? I mean, like, why? It made no sense. So I was
What?
like, well, I'm gonna donate my organs. This is ridiculous that I would. So I think a lot of people aren't educated. Where I wasn't.
You don't know until
don't-
until
You don't
need
know
to know.
until you
Because
know.
the only time
Until
I
it touches someone in your
Right.
family that needs an organ, then you all of a sudden have to become educated. And you had gotten a call
So you
from my
the
first
sec-
my first one from my sister, correct?
So Laurie, I talked to the first time after the transplant
2009.
in 2009, several times, just knowing that you were okay, and for the first few months. But then your dad called me the second time.
The second time, which
Yeah.
we're about to
Yeah,
get into that.
And I do remember the first time because you were like, "Oh my gosh, Wendy got no." I was like, "How did she get?" She's
Right.
because you were never an unhealthy person. You mean you just
Yeah.
weren't, and it was just like
Because it didn't really hit me. I didn't know I had this autoimmune disorder
Exactly.
until I was a senior, and then I was off to college, so
Right.
Yeah.
it wasn't in my life. In
it
high
wasn't
school
like
and
our
stuff.
little young. You
No.
were just So yeah. So okay. So tell us about the second one, and then you can. I mean, what would
well, I
Well,
mean, yeah, you tell
I'll move
about
to that,
it. Yeah,
and then you can pull in.
Yeah.
So fast forward 5 years. So Christian gave me my first gift of life. He added 5 extra years to my life, and without that gift, it wouldn't have gotten me to where I am today. So fast forward 5 years, I'm going through a divorce, and I've decided I don't want to live in the house what we lived in anymore. I wanted a new start. So I was building a new house, and Luke and I were in transition. But in the meantime, we had to move in with my parents because my new house was being built, and my other house was sold in 2 weeks, like gone. So I was like, I don't have anywhere to live. So we moved with my parents. And during that time with my parents, I was in total denial, but I knew something was wrong because I was noticing the whites of my eyes were jaundiced. So I would wear sunglasses. I would notice like I wasn't eating much, and I was like malnourished, and my hair was falling out. So I would wear a baseball cap. I was like literally always in disguise. I would wear big sweatshirts so my family could not see my weight loss.
Mhm.
And I knew I just did not, I just couldn't believe that my autoimmune disorder or anything, like, why was I in rejection if that's what it was? So finally, my family, we realized that we've talked, whatever. But by this time, my house is built. We're starting to move in. I've got moving boxes everywhere, but I am sick. I am too sick. And I developed something called, so I was in liver rejection, but we hadn't officially seen the doctors yet, but I developed something called hepatic, which relates to the liver, brain encephalopathy. All the toxins from your brain, from your liver, go to your brain, and you have like a brain fog. I could not make a sentence. I could not talk. I didn't know how to spell to text people. Yes. I was like alive, but kind of just comatose. Like,
and you're so quick. Wendy's always
Right.
been.
yeah, I was not
not-
quick.
yeah.
I could not answer a sentence. I couldn't, if I would have run bath water, I couldn't tell if it was hot or cold. Luke
Yeah.
would have to come in there and go, this is too hot. I couldn't make any judgment calls.
And when you were going through that, your friends, we were like, something's not right.
Because I wasn't posting on social
Right.
media.
Mhm.
I wasn't
You
reaching
weren't
out.
making sense
No.
when you did. It was odd. So
People would call me, and I sometimes would or would not know how to answer the phone, or somebody would text me, and I didn't know how to spell.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of times Luke would take the phone and have to answer for
Yeah.
me. And my friend Luke was like, this is Luke. My mom cannot text. She cannot talk. So that went on. And meanwhile, my house was in crazy disorder. I had moving boxes everywhere, but I just did not have the ability, strength, or anything to unpack anything. So we finally go see the doctors at Oxford. They did everything they could, steroid treatments, everything they could in the hospital to revive my liver, but I was in full rejection. So at that point, they decided to put me on the liver transplant waiting list again. Now, remember last time I waited 2 long years. Well, this time I am much sicker, and I'm going downhill fast. So I am in and out of the hospital this whole time, finally admitted to the hospital. This all started probably in around August, September, October, November. I was getting sicker. And then finally in February, I'm sorry, they decided to put me back in the hospital, Oxnard. This time I am not responsive. I am connected to tubes. I've got oxygen. I'm not talking. Doctors are talking to me, but I cannot reply to them. I'm very jaundiced. I weighed 68 pounds. This was in 2015. And I think I was almost 45 years old at the time, and when this happened. And the doctors had come in the room and were like, and said to my family, she's really not doing well. And we've just found out from her blood work and her urine output that not only have all the toxins from her liver gone to her brain, it was like your ammonia level was high. I had brain encephalopathy, but all of those toxins have gone to her kidney, and she's in kidney failure. And I've never had kidney problems. They were like, so if she doesn't get a liver and a kidney within the next 72 hours, Wendy is not going to be alive. And my parents started calling all of our friends,
Yeah.
family,
That's when she got the call.
and that's when you got the call.
that is.
Yeah.
That is.
And then she called me.
And I had been
What-
talking to your parents while you were in the hospital prior to that. But I remember when your dad called me that day, that I just couldn't handle it.
No, she called me, and we
Yeah.
were just like,
And all of my prayer warriors are the people that I called. And I don't know any prayer warriors better than the Toops family. So
oh, no, we are. You need prayers? We got you.
I appreciate it because I was on a lot of prayer lists, and I still say those people that put me on prayer list is what got me to here today. So I do
100%.
believe that. I do believe I have a lot of
100%.
faith and a lot of hope. And so I'll never forget my mom said, I'm going to have my sister and, my nieces, my sisters, Anna and Marla, their daughter, come. And Luke was in school that day, and my sister got Luke out of school and said, they're going to all come and, wish you luck when you have the surgery. Then a few hours later, the doctor comes running in the room, and he goes, we have found a liver and a kidney for you. It's out of state, out of region. We're on the way to get it. And he starts feeling around my stomach, and my mom's like, what are you doing? He goes, the lady is a little bigger than Wendy. I was 68 pounds. Like, I was a child. I was
Yeah.
like 5th grader. And
Yeah.
we want to make sure that the liver and the kidney are going to fit in her body. and I'm like skin and bones. So he's on the phone with somebody holding the phone, and he's feeling, yep, okay, I think it's going to work. All right, hangs up. And this was like 11 o'clock in the morning, and he tells my mom, we're heading out of state. They couldn't tell us where. It's all anonymous. And but if it's a go, if the liver and kidney are good, surgery will be tonight at 8 o'clock. So my mom said, I've got Luke and your nieces and your sister. Everybody's coming to wish you luck for surgery. I really couldn't talk, but I remembered thinking, they're not coming to wish me luck. They're coming to tell me goodbye. This is going to be my last goodbye with my son. So when everyone got there, and I could talk, but I didn't make sense. I couldn't make a complete sentence. I was pretty much begging my two nieces, make sure Luke goes to his first dance. Make sure Luke has a date. Make sure he knows to get a corsage. Make sure he has these first, because I'm not going to be here. I leaned over to my sister Laurie and I said, you're going to be his mom. And she was just like, what? And, she was pointing out, he does have a dad. And I'm like, well, you're going to be his mom, because I was separated and going through a divorce. And anyway, they were all crying, and the doctors came in the room and they said, it's time for surgery. And I gave my son, and my parents what I thought was my last goodbye. I did not think I'd survive surgery or anesthesia. I just didn't. I had hope, but I knew how sick I was. And I was whisked off to surgery, and about 11 hours later after surgery, which was about 11 hours, I was, on a ventilator. And I kind of remember my family around me, and it scared Luke because I was on a ventilator and I couldn't talk and I didn't look alive. And I was hanging on by a thread. And but I pulled through, and now as we're coming up on 9 years,
I know.
Because of this gift. And I just so you'll know, I have reached out to LOPA and written a letter to my new donor heroes family. They said their mother died a very tragic death and is not ready to meet any of the recipients. So what I do, I've been volunteering for LOPA since 2008, a year before I was even transplanted.
Wow.
And I've been volunteering for them ever since. And I'm their chair of their foundation board, of the vice chair of their foundation board. And I love volunteering, public speaking, and spreading awareness and educating others about the gift of organ, eye, and tissue donation. So what I do to honor my donor heroes is to live life to the fullest. I live each day as if it's my last. I laugh a lot. I cry a lot. Whatever emotions are going on, I'm present. When I'm with any of my friends, I'm present and in the moment. I'm not, talking to someone else or I'm with that person, spending my time with that person, because that time is special to me. Because that's what I can do to honor my donors.
And I also think because you were so close to death, you know how precious life is.
Yeah.
And it is honoring your donors. It totally is honor. I mean, I think so.
Absolutely.
Totally.
It's like living out
You
loud.
have to. And I'll look, Wendy, I love when you post. I'm like, sometimes I don't get to go to the concerts that you get to go to, and I love watching. I feel
And
like
those are- and the concerts-
I had the best time. I was like, Lindsay, I was like, oh my God. She was like, oh my God, she's living her best life. I said, I know, I'm so jealous. I
My
want to be with
son is like on top of any kind of country concert tickets, and
I love it.
He'll buy the VIP package and tells me about it later. And and one of the concerts we're going to, like going to Shania Twain, and he goes, by the way, I bought this pass where she's gonna sing From This Moment, and we go on stage with her. And I was like, what? I don't want to go on stage. I want to sit here, like in the audience. And he's like, when we're in the front row, all of a sudden she starts that song, and they're coming to get us, and we're on stage with Shania Twain at the Smoothie King Center. Of course.
See, but okay, guys. So this is why, like, I loved it when Wendy would come over because, I was kind of crazy, and then Wendy was so creative, and when we would just have the best time ever, and you haven't changed. If people, if from when you were little, you have not changed.
Well, I used to impersonate, like Liza Minnelli.
Liza
Oh, I know. I
That's what I was saying. Liza Minnelli. Liza with a Z, not Lisa with an S. Yeah.
I remember that.
My whole
God,
life.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh. Isn't that funny?
And I would like sing, and then Stormy would be like the dancer.
I would be the dancer.
She would be the dancer, and I would be the singer. And I would sing into a jump rope because we didn't have a microphone.
That's right. Or a hairbrush.
Hairbrush, whatever was
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember you being so, she'd come, I was like her little sister.
Yeah,
so
I was
were.
bossy.
She was bossy. She bossed me around. She'd be like, you do not dance good enough to be in the dance show.
And these dance shows we were putting on for your parents had to,
Oh, yeah.
my parents, when you would come to my house, I
Yes.
had the big living room upstairs, the
Right.
playroom, and we would force my parents up
To
there.
come upstairs.
And they're
Yeah.
like, you've already had 3 shows today. Well, this is number 4, so
We're
sit down.
sorry, we're doing it again.
We're doing it again. We have different music this time. We just made up a dance.
And I love it. But so you were always that way, I feel like.
Yes.
And you always live life the fullest. And I think you are honoring your donors. I mean, I think that's the best gift that you can
And
do.
that's literally what I try to do, and I give talks for LOPA and talk about organ donation, and talk to schools, to churches,
I mean, you volunteer
anybody.
so much.
I
You really,
just-
and I
it's
think
what
it's
I
amazing.
have to do.
No, but I think that because not everybody does that, and you give. I see it. You give back so much, and I want to tell you this too. I remember that time we went to Mary Miller's, and that was right after her.
Yeah, it's
I
probably
give-
right in 2015 or
I
16.
think it was, and I was
because I was
like,
picking up soup from
you were
her that
picking
she
up
made for
soup.
me.
Yeah.
and you were gray,
Mhm.
and you were living in where were you living in Mississippi?
Yeah.
Mississippi, because
Yeah.
we had moved.
And
yeah.
I was like, we have to make a road trip to go see Stormy. But you were, and I was like, when I left there, I was like,
I
You
don't know if
called
she's
me.
well enough
I
to do
remember you
this.
called me.
no, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, Stormy, she's so, I felt
But-
so,
And I was probably this big.
But you were so much better.
you were so much
You were.
better.
So
Yeah, I was
she
better
had-
than I was.
y-
Yeah.
At that point, you were so much better.
But
and
I was-
you hadn't seen her.
No, and I
Right.
was freaked out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really freaked out. And I
I
was,
mean, my face was drawn in. I mean, I probably was thinning
and
hair.
and you weren't hyper, like full of energy. You looked like you weren't Wendy.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hadn't got all my life
No, you hadn't got it back.
I
And,
just,
you know,
I'm still probably in the healing process. And
Oh,
Mary
yeah.
Soup was making her
Mary
miracle soup.
is
Yeah.
the healing super.
She was making her healing soup.
No, it did. And she made that same soup for Lindsay.
She has her soups.
Yeah.
Mary Miller, your soups have healing powers.
Healing properties.
Yes,
We
in
love
that
it.
chicken noodle soup.
So tell us more about, I guess, LOPA more.
So,
And
Lo-
who can be a donor?
Yeah, anybody.
Tell that.
Yeah.
Who can be
So,
a donor?
Lo-
Yeah.
For people that don't know, LOPA stands
Yeah.
for Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency.
Yes.
It is Louisiana statewide. Anyone can be a donor, but everything is taken on a case by case basis. You might be on medication for diabetes, so
I think it's right
some
there.
of your organs may be, great and be able to use, but your lungs might be great, but your pancreas and your kidneys may not be good. But there's organ, eye, corneas,
Mhm.
and tissue for burn victims, and anybody can be a donor.
And I was reading something like I think you can donate up to maybe 8 different. Is it 8 different?
One person
eight-
can save
yeah,
8
lives.
lives.
That's what it is.
Through
One person
donation.
can
There are currently over 2,000 people in Louisiana on a waiting list, and if we could pass some kind of a law that you are automatically an organ donor and get a heart on your license unless you opt out, I feel like more lives could be saved, and I feel like they're
100%.
working on that currently.
They should, because people just don't know. I just didn't know.
Education is key. If
It
you
is
don't
key.
know, you cannot be informed if you don't know. You've got to learn the facts. And
Absolutely.
it's life-saving, it's life-changing, it changes your perspective on life.
I know,
And
and
I
that's-
just
Bringing that
you know,
up. I love that.
Well, and even when you went to St. James Place and talked, and so
Yes, I
all of
remember
the
you saying
elderly
that.
people that were there, and they asked the same question, they said, we can't be donors.
I was like, everything's a case-by-case basis. Like
Yes.
even if your liver, your lungs, or kidneys aren't good, there's skin, there's cornea, but some of these, elderly people might have the heart of a champion.
Right.
But here's the thing. If let's say it's somebody that's 80 years old at St. James saying, well, I can't be a donor. You could not be a donor for someone, maybe it makes me sound like as young as me. I don't feel like I'm going to be
Because we're
55 in a
young.
month. But yeah, like
We're young.
yeah, we're young. Young,
Young at
but
heart.
but they may be able to, let's say there's somebody maybe in their late 60s or 70s that needs a heart, and the 80-year-old person that's dying, maybe their heart's, it could go to someone that's older that could give them an extra few
Perfect.
years at life.
Yeah, because you did tell me that about St. James Place. Now, Dad, I want you to bring up to where they do honor the donors.
The donor remembrance, the path of
donor, yeah,
remembrance.
yes,
That's coming up in
that's
April.
coming up, and I think that's such a beautiful
And
thing.
April is Organ Donation Awareness Month.
Okay,
The whole month of April.
I love
We have
that.
Blue and Green Day. We always encourage people to take pictures
That's
in blue
why-
and green.
That's why we're in blue and green.
And
We're
I'm not
supportive.
wearing blue, but I've got butterflies. You know,
We have
representing-
butterflies, but
you know,
yeah,
I've got
we-
my
we're
butterflies everywhere.
supporting.
But the Path of Remembrance, you can get it anywhere in Louisiana.
Okay.
Lafayette, Monroe, Shreveport, Baton Rouge. They'll
Yes.
show the dates, the times. If you've got somebody that you would like to honor that has passed away, perhaps your sister-in-law,
Yeah.
you can go on this link and you can send in her name, and her name will be at the Path of Remembrance in Baton Rouge at the Royal Life, and you can go there and you can release a butterfly in her honor.
I love that.
Mhm.
I do
Yeah,
love
I do
that.
it every single year.
I love that. I
Yeah.
really, really do. And so tell us about the fundraiser that y'all are having.
Well, I am the chair of something, and I want to say it in the best Louisiana
I
way.
got-
So it's called. It came out like out of Crowley years ago. It's like digging down to the southern roots, and it's called a fée dodo.
Hey, Dodo.
Good job.
Dodo.
That's good.
And but I decided to put a spin on it and call it a fée do donate. So
I love that.
So we're calling it a fée do donate. That's how they say it. So I do impersonations too. So they go, hey, fée do donate. So this is going to be April 27th here in Baton Rouge at the Live Oak Arabian Arena. It is to celebrate life, to celebrate recipients, donor families, anybody that wants to come. People there, we've invited people. We have amazing sponsors on board that have never been part of the transplant world that are now learning about it, and we're educating them. And that evening we're going to have, a little education about it, talk about it. But we're here to celebrate life. We've got
Absolutely.
a great band, the Hayride Country Band. We've got, music,
So
fun,
Yeah.
dancing, living life to the fullest. And it's all the money, all the proceeds go to the LOPA Foundation.
Love that.
And the proceeds go to education and awareness. We want to we want to help underserved communities, people
Yes.
that don't know all the facts. Let's teach them the facts,
Let's do it.
and educate them. We're going to have dancing. We're going to have amazing barbecue. We're going to have Phil's Oyster Bar there with a big Piro full of
I love
shrimp and
that.
char grilling oysters. And we're going to pass a good time. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's the plan. Yes, yeah.
Yes,
So
yeah.
we are.
going.
We would love for anyone that wants to click on this link.
So
buy
anybody can go.
Anybody can
So,
go.
Stormy,
you can
we
buy
should
an
go. I
know, we're
individual.
going. We're
you can
going.
buy an individual ticket for $100.
Okay.
Or you can buy a sponsorship starting at $1,200 to get a table of 10, all the way up. We have tons of great sponsorships still available, packages. But we would just love if you just want to buy an individual ticket for $100 and come be a part of this spectacular first ever LOPA Fado Donate.
I love that. And we're going to go.
We are going. I've
We're
got
gonna
it on
kick
my
off our
calendar.
Good.
boots.
I got
Get
it on
your
my
boots,
calendar.
get your cowboy hat,
And I
and we're
love
gonna
my
pass a
boots.
good time.
I know, so fun. And I
You
saw
know?
you just got a new pair of boots. I love.
I did.
Yes,
I
love
did.
that.
I've got a few pair, but I saw like the song I posted it to. A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
Absolutely.
There was no choice. I had to buy them.
No, good looking boots though.
So that's just kind of my story and how I live my life. And I have to have purpose. I like to have. They say to. Make your mess your message your message.
yes,
Yes.
no, totally.
Yes.
And that's what I do. And I just want to honor any donor hero's family. My first donor hero, Christian, had just turned 16, but he had learned about organ donation in school.
I love that.
And for that, he went and got a heart on his driver's license. We recently got a law passed called Allie's Law that requires like 20 minutes in every classroom to have an organ donation class to learn about it. So these kids that are about to go get about to go get their driver's license, know the facts. They've got the educated decision. Education is the key, and they get a heart on their license. So this is amazing, leaps and bounds from what it used to be
No.
years ago.
It's true. And Wendy, because of you, I'm now an organ donor, and so are all my children.
Oh.
And that is my family. cousins. You know, I have a big family,
Oh yeah.
big family. And it touched my heart so much when you were sick, and it was just like we all have to do this.
And it's good to think about other people, like when they're going through it, and be there for
Because
those
it can happen to
people.
you. It can
Phone
happen to
calls.
anybody.
It can happen to anybody.
Anybody. It can happen to me.
I
It can
never,
happen to
yeah, I
anybody.
never thought it would happen to me.
No.
You probably, your daughter had a battle with cancer. You never thought it would happen to her.
Never did.
She's alive and well.
She is. And God
she's
is good.
living life. So
Yes.
God is good. There's hope. There's faith. There's life after, near death experiences. You learn from them, and
And you
grow.
live right after what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're living life to the fullest, and you're
in the present,
in the
every
present.
day.
Yeah. Well, do you have any questions, Dad? After all this, I mean, Wendy covered all. I knew you were going to be so good.
Sorry, I didn't talk so much.
No. And this is exactly what I wanted because it was so. I mean, it was just awesome. This is exactly what I wanted.
And if you want to learn more about LOPA, people can go to lopa.org.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
You can go and learn more, but like you really did educate us a lot tonight.
Thank you.
Well, what about you, Dad? You
Well,
quiet over there.
I wanted to show you that I'm an organ donor candidate too, because I have my license, and I was one of the ones who early on was not so sure, and then I realized that there's too many good things that can happen. So,
See?
so I'm there
There's a
too.
bumper sticker out there that says, like, you don't need your organs when you go to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here.
Cool.
I
That's
love
great.
that. That's a
great.
good one.
That is
You,
great.
you
That
can
is
like
a-
Google it, get the bumper sticker.
Yeah.
I don't know if people do bumper stickers
I don't
anymore, but I
either.
remember
The bumper
it's a thing. It's a thing. It was a thing, and it's true. But it's just so true.
Where are all the bumper stickers?
You know?
That's funny.
So I'm grateful that I'm alive and can be here with y'all today. It's like sitting here with family and
It
blast
is.
from the
It
past.
is.
And
It's
Yeah.
so fun.
You
I
know?
know. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful you're alive. I know
My
you are.
sisters, yeah.
I know your
Yeah.
sisters are. I mean,
So her name's Stormy. My name is Wendy. So we were the weather.
Got the weather covered.
And like when we'd come in the room, it'd be like maybe a hurricane or a tornado with the
hurricane.
weather. And then we always wanted a friend named Rain. Wendy, Stormy, and Rain.
Right.
We knew a Rain.
We had Rainy.
Yeah, so
remember Rainy and I carpooled with her in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
so when we come in the room, it was like hurricane, Wendy and Stormy.
Well, and now y'all understand too why. I mean, I was 2 years younger, but like you see how cool they were. Like it was like I was coming over to play no matter what. I'd be like,
So
Stormy,
cool.
your mom said I can come over.
Yeah.
You know?
And then her mom's like, I did not say that.
No, Martha had my back. She was
Oh, yeah.
like, she's playing with y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all are gonna include her.
She can come over.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Oh
Exactly.
gosh! All right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming. I really
Thank
do.
y'all
appre-
both for
No,
being here
Yeah.
and
No. Thank
Being
you.
like family
Thank you.
and
You
close
took
to
time
me.
out your busy schedule. I know you're so busy. So I do appreciate you coming to do this.
I
And,
wouldn't have missed it. I appreciate it. I feel honored you had me on. And this is
Aw.
such a great show,
Isn't
a
it
great
fun?
environment.
It was great. It
I
really was.
appreciate
It
it.
was fun.
It was
Thank you,
fun.
weather ladies, for being on.
And the weather
on here
ladies.
tonight.
Thanks for letting me jump in and sit with you too.
Absolutely.
That's all
No
right.
other way would have been
Oh,
appropriate.
no, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been
No.
the same. You had to come on.
God, you had to be a
Indeed.
part of this.
So thank you everybody for tuning in. Look, next week we have a remote guest coming in to talk about holistic dentistry for children. February is Children's Dentistry Month. So join us again next week when we cover an interesting topic again. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank
night.
you.